Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking into something pretty groundbreaking in sustainable agriculture. Arborea's BioSolar Leaf technology.
It's definitely turning heads.
Yeah. And you're here because you want the key insights. Fast. So that's what we'll do. We've gone through a stack of research, pulled out the important stuff. Our mission for this deep dive, really get under the hood of Arborea's system. Understand how it works, the big benefits, the hurdles it needs to clear.
And what it could actually mean for the future of food.
Exactly. Okay, let's jump in.
Well, the core idea is fascinating. Arborea basically took photosynthesis, what plants do,
Yeah.
and kind of engineered a supercharged version.
Supercharged photosynthesis. How?
They're using microscopic life forms. Think microalgae, blue-green algae, diatoms. These tiny things convert sunlight and CO2 into energy, just like plants.
Okay, but what's the supercharged part?
It's the efficiency.
Okay.
It's just much higher. Get this. One single biosolar leaf setup. It can purify air like roughly 100 mature trees.
Wait, hang on. One installation equals 100 trees.
That's what the data suggests.
Wow. Okay, that's a serious number.
Yeah,
Think about urban air quality, right? And maybe needing less space for traditional trees, freeing it up, while also making food.
precisely. And that connects directly to the land issue. Traditional farming needs so much land.
It's a huge constraint, especially with a growing population.
Exactly. And here's where it gets really interesting, land use-wise. Our sources suggest deploying this tech over an area about the size of the New York metro area
Okay.
could potentially meet the entire global protein demand projected for 2050.
That's mind-boggling. An area the size of NYC feeding the world's protein needs.
It puts the efficiency into perspective, doesn't it?
It really does. And it's not just how much land, but what kind of land, right? I saw it doesn't need prime farmland.
Correct.
Yeah.
Big advantage. It can work on non-arable land, degraded soils,
Yeah.
even, like you said, urban rooftops.
So places traditional farmers just can't use. That tackles land scarcity head-on.
And there's more to its adaptability. You can apparently co-locate these units right next to industrial sites.
The ones pumping out CO2.
Yeah. So you capture the CO2 directly. No need for that expensive, energy-intensive compression step you usually need for carbon capture.
Ah, clever. So it cuts costs and boosts the environmental benefit.
Makes it more viable, both economically and environmentally.
So it cleans the air, captures carbon, and creates food. Let's talk about that food source, the microalgae. The nutritional side seems pretty impressive, too.
Oh, absolutely. Microalgae are like little nutritional bombs. They're loaded with omega-3s, antioxidants, vitamins, minerals,
The good stuff.
all the good stuff. And the protein content, often double that of meat. Plus, they grow way faster using far fewer resources.
Double the protein, faster growth, less resources.
It's not just about quantity, it's quality nutrition produced super efficiently.
And the variety's huge, too, isn't it? I saw something like 50,000 known species, maybe 500,000 more out there.
That's right. It's this vast, untapped resource. Imagine the potential for different ingredients, different properties, all clean label.
We're already seeing some of that, like with omega-3 supplements.
Exactly. That's a perfect example. It shows the commercial potential is real. It's already happening in the nutraceutical space.
Okay, so this isn't just a lab experiment. Arborea's got some real-world validation. I read about collaborations with Imperial College London.
Yes, those partnerships are key. They lend a lot of credibility. Having pilot installations on Imperial's rooftops, that's a tangible proof of concept in a real city environment.
Shows it working outside the lab.
Right. And then there's that Exhale Bionic Chandelier by Julian Melchiori.
The one in the V&A Museum.
Yeah. It's a fascinating blend of art, design, and this technology. Great for raising public awareness in a different way.
Okay, but no innovation comes without bumps in the road. What are the main challenges Arborea faces in scaling this up?
Well, there are definitely hurdles. Regulatory approvals are always a big one for novel food tech.
Standard procedure, I guess?
Pretty much. Then there's public perception. Let's be honest, the word algae doesn't always sound appetizing, right?
Yeah, slimy seaweed might come to mind for some people.
Exactly. So clear communication about the benefits, the safety, that's going to be crucial. Getting people comfortable with it.
Makes sense. What else?
Integrating it into cities, onto rooftops, needs investment. It needs supportive policies. And, we need to learn from past attempts at algae farming that maybe didn't pan out.
Ah, so look at failures to avoid repeating mistakes.
Definitely. Proper life cycle analysis is key, making sure it's truly sustainable long-term, economically and environmentally.
Right. Avoid unintended consequences.
So where's the tech right now? You mentioned technology readiness levels, TRLs.
Yeah, TRLs basically rank how mature a technology is. Arborea seems to be around TRL 5, moving to TRL 6.
And what does that mean in simple terms?
TRL 5 is like having a working prototype tested in a lab-like setting. TRL 6 means you're testing that prototype out in the real world, like those imperial rooftops. It's a significant step. So progressing, but still some way to go for mass market.
For sure. Their plan is to scale up from these smaller pilots to much larger plants, maybe 20 hectares, focusing first on high-value ingredients.
It's interesting comparing it to things like that BIQ building in Germany. Arborea seems much more flexible, adaptable to different surfaces.
That adaptability is a key strength, yes. But scaling brings technical challenges too, like how do you efficiently cool down all that biomass as you grow it?
Good point. Must generate some heat.
It does. And then there's the byproduct issue. Reports mention maybe 70–80% could be byproduct, stuff not sold as the main ingredient.
Whoa, that's a lot of potential waste.
It is. So finding valuable uses for that byproduct, what they call valorization, is going to be really important for the overall economics and the sustainability. Turn waste into worth.
Okay, let's swing back to the environmental plus points, though. Those life cycle analyses sounded pretty compelling.
They really are. The figures are quite dramatic, up to 5,000 times less land needed compared to livestock. And 40 times less water. Plus, much lower greenhouse gas emissions.
And the CO2 capture.
Remarkable. 1 acre is estimated to capture 100 times more CO2 than an average acre of forest.
100 times? That's huge.
It is. And hitting TRL 6 and beyond, that tends to attract more serious investor interest too, which they'll need for scaling.
Of course, we should look at potential risks. You mentioned learning from past algae projects. What went wrong there, and how is Arborea different?
Yeah, historically, algae farming faced issues like contamination, keeping the culture pure, also delivering nutrients efficiently, making sure all the algae get enough light. These were tricky.
So practical growing problems.
Right. Arborea claims its edge comes from its proprietary biological engineering. They essentially fine-tune the microalgae themselves at a genetic level.
So better algae to start with?
Kind of. Optimized for specific things, maybe higher protein, faster growth in certain conditions. That, plus the no need for CO2 compression angle and using non-arable land, helps set them apart.
Okay, so what really drives the potential for scale and cost efficiency here?
Several things. It's fundamentally carbon neutral, runs on sunlight. That's a big plus.
Free energy source.
Pretty much. Using non-fertile land, as we said, addresses land competition. Then, automation and robotics will be key for quality control and keeping running costs down as they get bigger.
Makes sense for consistency and efficiency.
And the sheer diversity of microalgae means potential for lots of different high-value, clean-label ingredients. Add in things like precision fermentation, AI helping develop new strains. It all points towards scaling potential.
How does it stack up against, say, vertical farming?
Vertical farming is great for water saving, definitely. But Arborea has these unique angles on land use flexibility and that massive carbon sequestration potential. Though, again, nailing that biomass cooling and dealing with byproducts remains critical for cost.
And this all seems to fit with where consumers are heading, doesn't it? Wanting cleaner labels, more sustainable options.
Absolutely. There's strong data showing consumers increasingly want sustainable ingredients, transparent labeling. I think one source mentioned 65% in a 2024 survey.
So the market demand is likely there, or growing.
It seems so. And those strategic links, like Imperial, plus the cultural visibility from things like the V&A feature, they all help build market acceptance.
How do they compare to other alt protein players, like Miati using fungi or functional drinks like Olipop?
Well, Arborea's strength is that massive microalgae biodiversity, potentially 50,000 plus options, and operating on rooftops or barren land. That's quite different. But they all face similar challenges. Scaling, consumer perception, navigating regulations like the EU's farm-to-fork strategy.
Right, those hurdles again, public perception, logistics, funding.
They're common challenges for any disruptive food tech.
Let's dig into the health benefits a bit more. You mentioned protein and omega-3s.
Yeah, the protein quality is exceptional. All the essential amino acids, branch chain ones too, really good for muscle health, satiety.
And the omega-3s, EPA, DHA.
Yep, the crucial ones for heart health, brain function, plus powerful antioxidants, beta-carotene, astaxanthin, phycocyanin, things known to fight cell damage.
So beyond basic nutrition, there are functional benefits.
Definitely. They can act as natural emulsifiers or texturizers in foods, potentially replacing less clean additives. And the fiber content helps with feeling full.
And that links back to the consumer preference for natural, functional ingredients.
Exactly. It ticks those boxes. Unlike some synthetic additives, you get this whole package of nutrients. And there are clinical studies on things like spirulina and chlorella showing specific health benefit.
Oh, the challenge remains.
Scaling up production affordably and convincing everyone that algae are, well, great food.
Okay, let's get specific on the environmental metrics again. Just how much better is it than traditional farming?
The life cycle analyses paint a stark picture. We talked land and water savings. That water saving also helps prevent eutrophication, those damaging algal blooms in rivers and lakes caused by fertilizer runoff.
Ah, so less pollution downstream.
Correct. And no need for synthetic fertilizers means cutting out the emissions and energy used to make them. That CO2 capture rate, 100 times a forest per acre, is the headline grabber, of course.
It's a powerful number.
And you could deploy these locally, right, where emissions are high, potentially. Yeah. It ties into bigger goals like boosting biodiversity, climate action. Standardized certifications would help solidify these claims further, though.
Right, getting that official stamp of approval. So thinking bigger picture, what are the social implications? How could this change our food system?
Well, the potential to grow food basically anywhere, poor soil, city rooftops, could theoretically democratize access to nutrition. Imagine fresh, protein-rich food production in food deserts.
That would be huge.
And remember that NYC-sized area, potentially meeting 2050 protein needs. That speaks volumes about food security potential. Plus, consumer acceptance of sustainable ingredients is pushing the market.
And the urban benefits, cleaner air, you mentioned.
Cleaner air, possibly lower building energy use if rooftops are covered. It fits with ideas about bioreceptive cities that actively clean their environment. Then you have regulations like the EU's upcoming Biotech Act.
Opportunity or hurdle?
Bit of both, probably. It could streamline things, but also raises questions about equitable access. Can small farmers benefit, or just big players? It definitely aligns with UN Sustainable Development Goals on climate, life on land, clean water.
By cutting water use and eliminating nutrient runoff.
Precisely. But, the economic hurdles need addressing. Alternative business models, maybe government support, might be needed to really unlock that broad social impact.
Okay, so pulling this all together, Arborea's BioSolar Leaf. It looks like a genuinely exciting, potentially transformative technology for making food more sustainably.
I think that's fair to say. The environmental gains, the nutritional profile, they're really compelling.
Huge advantages on paper.
Definitely. But, and it's an important but, the challenges in scaling up, getting costs down, and achieving that broad public acceptance, they are significant.
They need solving for this to reach its potential.
Exactly. Continued research, smart partnerships, proving the economics at scale, that's the pathway forward.
So here's a final thought for you, our listeners, to chew on. Given that this tech produces food and sucks up a lot of CO2, where are the most unexpected places you could see this actually working in the future?
Think outside the box. Beyond farms, beyond city centers.
Yeah, where else could these biosolar leaves take root, mull that over, maybe dig a little deeper yourself?
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Thanks for listening.